If you've ever considered a 3 or 4 night cruise, you may have looked and noticed that a lot of the options were, well, older ships. Now, older isn't always a bad thing, but some of the ships with the really flashy features, like the crazy things like what's behind me here, Central Park on Wonder of the Seas, those may not have been available, but that looks as though it's changing with some news from Royal Caribbean today. So I wanted to talk about that news and why it could affect not only people that are just looking to take those 3 or 4 night cruises, but others, and things you should consider if you're thinking about taking a 3 or 4 night cruise on maybe a ship that was recently announced as doing 3 and 4 nighters soon. I'm Bill from cruisehabit.com, and we're recording this video from our Central Park veranda here on Wonder of the Seas, Royal Caribbean's newest and biggest ship. In fact, the biggest ship in the world, cruise ship in the world. It's been a lovely trip so far. And actually, I'm going to talk about how the news actually relates to our week-long cruise on this ship. Now, I haven't been doing a lot of news videos lately because frankly, there are a lot of really great, talented folks that do it well. I'll mention, make sure you guys are following, of course, subscribe here to Cruise Habit, but Jay over at Ship Life does a fantastic job with cruise news. But I wanted to talk about this because I really like the cruise industry. I find it interesting and it relates to the ship that I'm on today. So here's the news, the short version is that Royal Caribbean announced that Allure of the Seas, which is another Oasis class ship. Those are the massive ships like this one here that have neighborhoods including Central Park and the boardwalk, and they're just incredibly wide, have multiple pools, across the width. That Allure of the Seas is starting in October of 2023, going to be sailing 3 and 4 night cruises out of Port Canaveral, Florida. Now that's a big deal for a couple reasons. One is that maybe if you're watching this video and you've cruised before, you may want to take a short cruise still, even if you say, well, a longer cruise is always better for me, Billy, but you just didn't have the time. You were combining it with another type of vacation, or you're just looking for a quick getaway sometimes. Your options were somewhat limited. Right now I think we've got Norwegian Sky, Freedom of the Seas, Carnival Conquest, Carnival Liberty, Independence of the Seas. I know I'm forgetting some others. And we'll have, by the time Allure makes this move, actually Disney Wish, which is kind of a different animal in its own right. We'll be on Wish in September this year, in fact. Those ships they all have great qualities about them, but it's impossible not to acknowledge that they're very different than the Oasis class ships, these crazy mega ships with all these features. So that's really great if that's what you're looking for a quick getaway. But a lot of people, they take these 3 or 4 night cruises in the Caribbean as a sampler. A lot of times there's some family discussion about, maybe one person or one subset of the family wants to take a cruise and the other's like, I don't know, I don't think that's for us. Or, I've heard bad things. And it's like, okay, well, we'll try one. We'll try one, it'll just be a short one in case we don't like it. I hear people say that, and you know what, that works for some people. Remember, 9 out of 10 people who take one cruise take another. Stat's been true for decades, actually. So I always say, God, take a longer cruise, because at the end of that 3-nighter or 4-nighter, you're gonna wish you took a 7-nighter. But nevertheless, many people take that 3 or 4 night cruise as a way to dip their toe, if you will, into the cruising waters, and it does hook a lot of people. So for those folks, is an Oasis class ship a good idea? And I don't know, actually, because I'll tell you, we've spent almost an entire week now on Wonder of the Seas, and I've been on 3 other Oasis class ships, and even a week isn't enough. So is a 3-nighter, is a 4-nighter, is that going to be enough time to really take in an Oasis class ship? Well, I know you're not going to get it all done, but how will you feel at the end of that? Maybe for the cruise lines, that's perfect. Maybe that's Royal Caribbean saying, hey, if we can get people on these ships for 3 or 4 nights, we know there's going to be so much that they didn't get to see, they didn't get to do. They're just going to have to come back. Well, that makes sense to me. But then the other question is, how are other cruise lines going to compete with that, all cruise lines want to attract first-time cruisers, because many people, they go on that first cruise and they say, oh, this is amazing. And they don't think it's cruising that's wonderful. They think, oh, it's Royal Caribbean, it's Carnival, it's Princess, it's, NCL, whoever. So it'll be interesting to see, because Royal Caribbean just has such a massive fleet at this point. Now, Carnival has a large fleet as well, but the distribution of Carnival's fleet is such that they don't have nearly as many of the mega ships. In fact, even their latest and greatest, Carnival Mardi Gras, which is a fantastic vessel, isn't, they only have one. So how will cruise lines answer for that? Is it a good idea for first-time cruisers? And if you are not a first-timer, maybe you cruise, multiple times a year, but you're looking for that quick getaway. Would you consider an Oasis class ship? I don't know. Interestingly, in a month, we are actually going to be on, maybe it's less than a month. I don't know what day it is. I'm on a cruise. What do I care? In about a month, we're actually going to be on Oasis of the Seas for a 3-nighter. Now, it's just sort of an unusual thing. I don't remember if there was a charter or some reason, but they don't usually do these short sailings on these ships. So it's going to be interesting to have that sampler soon and see what it's like being on an Oasis class ship for just 3 nights, and how that's going to work when Allure of the Seas begins doing it in October of 2023. So what do you think? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think about taking an Oasis class ship for a 3 or 4 nighter. What was your first cruise like? If you've started cruising in the last 10 years or so, what ship did you choose? What went into that decision? I'm genuinely curious. I love the cruise industry, and I love thinking through how cruise lines lure people in, and I like hearing your stories about what got you hooked on cruising. Of course, if you have any questions about Wonder of the Seas, reach out as well. You can either reach us on social media or here in the comments, or anything cruising. We love talking ship. There's lots more cruise content coming out as well, so be sure you subscribe here on YouTube. Check out cruisehabit.com, and I look very forward to talking ship with you again real soon.